Alright, here we go again. It looks like Charles has a bit of a hot take on a beloved new film that just came out. 31-year-old man still has to go against the grain the old-fashioned way. But I can't help it. I'm a little sea turtle fighting the tide here, going the other direction on it a little bit. Weapons. Debuted at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, people hyping and glazing it out the wazoo about it being like the best horror movie ever. Which I think is more of a curse than a blessing. It reminds me of Long Legs, how like a core component of its marketing was, hope you brought your diaper, cause you're pissing in it with how scary this one is. You're gonna be sucking on your thumb till you pop that bitch right off your hand. It's too scary. What are we doing? We shouldn't even release movies this scary. And then I saw Long Legs and it was just fine. And with Weapons, the hype is not quite to that level, but, 100% Rotten Tomatoes, people, of course, going ballistic for it with how incredible it is. I've never seen a horror movie like this. I've just seen it. Kind of feel the same way I did about Long Legs. Like, it's fine. Like, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. But, man, oh man, is it not nearly to the level that a lot of people are portraying it as, at least not in my eyes. Not that I let the hype really skew my thoughts on things. I just thought it was worth mentioning that, to me, this film isn't what people are gassing it up as. It's a horror movie, sure, but I would actually argue it's more of a comedy. And I don't think people are aware of that. We're going to get into spoilers, of course. I do spoilers now when reviewing things, so this is your warning there. I would say there's actually more comedic elements to this film than there are horror elements. Like, the actual plot and a lot of the things that happen, very clearly supposed to give you the heebie-jeebies, but all of it is undercut with comedy and humor, even in the most tense situations. It's like the MCU of horror. So, you'll have something that is clearly like, wow, this is going to be, scary. Oh my god, we have built up to this huge tense moment. And then they play it off as a joke, especially at the end of the movie. I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. And it was fine. I don't hate that, but it's not really a horror when it's not taking itself seriously. You know what I mean? Anyway, I really like this director, Zach Kreger. He, of course, I liked his work in The Whitest Kid You Know, but he really surprised me with Barbarian. Barbarian is a film I saw on a whim, and I was blown away by with how interesting it was and just how much I ended up really enjoying it. So, I was very hyped to see this as well, and I do like it. I just didn't love it like I was hoping I would, and I think a lot of people are expecting this to be one thing when it's really not that thing. I think they're going to get something completely different than what they're expecting. And for some people that might be nice, for others it might be a bit of a letdown. In my theater in particular, this isn't just me being like, big tough macho man, no movie scare Charlie, he too strong for a movie to make him scared. I mean, this is actually, I'm pretty sure, by design, supposed to make you laugh. Everyone in my theater was laughing a lot in this movie. More so than there were, any kind of, on-edge frights from people. Nobody gasped or anything. It really felt like most people were there having a hoot and a holler at it. And I think it's not laughing at the film, it's with it. Like I said, it feels like it's supposed to be more of this unserious take on a horror movie when everyone else seems to be talking about it as just a full-blown horror film. So I want to kind of set the record straight on that. Anyway, the film has a really interesting premise. Everyone's talked about that a lot. It's about this town where, for some reason, mysteriously at 2:17 a.m., an entire classroom of kids all gets up in the middle of the night, goes downstairs, walks out the front door, and disappears into the night. They run away, and they run away with their arms at their side, and it's really weird. They're running like the Titans from Attack on Titan. A month goes by, they still have no leads, can't figure it out. Of course, the parents are distraught. The town's still trying to, recover from this because everyone's on edge about it. And now we follow the core characters, one being the teacher of that classroom where all the students except for one disappeared. We then follow some other characters like one of the parents, and it's a really interesting way of telling the story because you go through some scenes multiple times from other characters' perspectives, which fill in a lot of the blanks. And I thought it was really creative. I thought it was very fun. It actually reminded me of something out of a video game, almost Until Dawn-esque to a certain extent. I thought that was a really cool idea to visit these things from a different character's eyes, like chapters in this movie. I thought that worked extraordinarily well because you get so many different pieces of this puzzle through so many different lenses that all, of course, meet at the end. Everything comes together. And I just thought that was really smart. I also really like the way the movie's filmed. I've seen a lot of like people praising the cinematography going into this film, and I think it definitely deserves that. It is like a really well shot movie. They have some really creative scenes that are shot in a really interesting manner. It's not all just like the standard by the book formula that horror movies follow, or I guess comedies by that extension. I thought they got very creative with their shots. It's clear they were having a lot of fun. The performances across the board I thought were super strong as well, especially with Justine. She's the teacher of that classroom where all the students vanished at 2:17 a.m. where they all ran away. And the whole town hates her. They torment her. She's ostracized. They think she had something to do with it, is withholding information, maybe even just she, mastermind the whole thing. And then you start getting these questions in your head about, well, where is this going to go? And then you'll go to the next chapter and you'll see a character that initially you don't really see how that ties in anywhere. And then all of a sudden, bang, eureka, this is where it's leading. But this is one of my big holdups with the film. The questions that you have, the answers the movie gives you, aren't all that interesting. Like, the questions themselves and the premise of the film are so strong. Like, the mystery of it, the thrill of trying to solve it, trying to see where it all leads, and then when you get to where it leads, it's a little unfulfilling. Like, I feel like it's just a little underwhelming, especially because the final act, as I mentioned earlier, is played off as a joke. That kind of takes a lot of wind out of the sails. You spend the whole movie with this mystery and these questions, only to then meet the big scary entity, which is just an old sick lady with a magic tree. And she has badly put on makeup with this wacky, zany wig. It's like a Ronald McDonald wig. It looks like Chucky Finster if he went to the worst barber on the East Coast. And she like jump scares you occasionally throughout the film. And that's like the main horror, is they rely on her being like the jump scare moment. So like Josh Brolin, when he's looking for his kid, he goes into like the dream space, like he's in a nightmare chasing his son Matthew. And as he's telling his son Matthew, I know I never said I love you enough, but I really do love you, son. Then all of a sudden he looks at his son's face, and it's that old lady. Her name's Gladys, and she's like, ah! And like, she does that a couple times. She's like the thing bringing horror to the movie, because without her doing that, sometimes it's just not really present. Like I said, it really is more of like a dark comedy kind of film as opposed to like a horror film, not to like split hairs. But then, as you have all these questions that you spend like an hour and a half, stewing on, trying to piece it together, and you go through a bunch of different characters' perspectives, then one character meets Gladys, and then all the answers start coming in. Gladys is the big bad, and it's just kind of underwhelming, because from that point forward, a lot of what Gladys does gets played off comedically, unfortunately. But it's not just her. Every time there is like a horror sequence playing out, they undercut it with humor. So, for example, Justine is spying on a house where she believes there might be something fishy afoot. And then she falls asleep in her car, and while she's passed out, the door opens, and a lady comes out, and she's holding scissors, and she's walking weird. She's walking real weird, and she's literally walking like Doodle Bob, actually. And she gets to the car, she's right by the window, and then she just like kind of walks away, like Crab walks away. The theater laughed really hard when that happened. And then the back seat opens, or the back door opens, and you can hear her get into the car, and then it's like tense. It's like, oh, okay, this is like a good tense moment. And then she leans over and cuts some hair, and then the theater laughed again. So, like, they took a horror moment, made it silly, then brought some kind of, like, horror life into it, where it's like, oh, this is about to be, like, kind of intense, like, what's about to happen? And then played a joke again on it. So you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, it does have horror, and when it's there, it's executed pretty well. Like, I think there's, like, some solid scenes, but they always take the wind out of the sails of the horror aspect in order to play a joke into it. Now, granted, the joke is solid too, like it was clearly landing with the audience, but I feel like a lot of people might find that to be annoying or not what they signed up for. For me, I didn't care that much. I thought it was fine, definitely different for sure, and I was still entertained. Especially because in the last act, they don't even try to make it scary. They literally play it as like almost a slapstick comedy skit. In the end, they piece together the mystery, which, by the way they figured out where the kids were, to me, felt like they kind of wrote themselves into a corner and then couldn't figure out like a good way of getting there. Basically, they were able to connect the dots, like the pose that they were running in, and after another guy goes crazy while doing that pose, they then, Josh Brolin's character, tracked the trajectory, and then Justine was like, oh, that's the house of like that one lone survivor kid, like the one kid that didn't run away. Probably something about that house, and it's a house she previously visited, like with the scissors and shit. So they figured it out because of the pose, but the authorities like scrubbed over this footage a lot, and there's even this montage sequence they showed where all the kids were running in a group together in front of houses, literally triggering motion sensor lights and everything. They were running in groups to this house. I feel like the Ring doorbells would have absolutely caught them running in groups, and they probably would have been able to find them far, far sooner. I don't know how they would have missed that. Like, they made a mention like the Ring doorbells only caught them like running into the night, but they passed so many houses in groups. Like, I feel like that footage would have absolutely existed. They could have easily tracked that trajectory. Like, I don't think it would just be Josh Brolin that would somehow figure out, like, it's kind of weird that they're all doing the same pose. Maybe they were running somewhere. Especially when you would couple that with these groups of kids that no doubt would have been caught on all these cameras from all of these houses that they're running in front of and triggering all the motion detection. Like, I don't know. But anyway, they find the house, they go to the house. And they're like in the house, and she can control people with her magic tree, so she has like bodyguards of people that she's controlled. That's how she got the kids, because she mind controlled them to, you know, go hang out in the basement. And while they're there, trying to save these kids, two people that she's controlled, one of them being a junkie, start attacking Justine and Josh Brolin. I don't know why I'm calling Julia Gardner's character by her character name and Josh Brolin instead of his character name, calling him Josh Brolin, but whatever. They're there, and they get, of course, ganked by her bodyguards that she's controlling. And I shit you not, one of the bodyguards, Josh Brolin punches, and he gets knocked out. And then he gets up again, he punches him, and he goes, geez, what the hell? He gets knocked out. The guy gets up again, punches him again, knocks him out. And by this point, the theater is like actually erupting into laughter. And then as Josh Brolin's running away, guy gets up again, charges him, and he picks him up and actually ragdolls him. And then he's like, God, he's so persistent. And then he's walking away, and the guy gets up again, screaming and shouting, running at him, and he ragdolls him again. Literally like WWE, like fucking suplexing him and throwing him around. And in theater is literally laughing at all this when this is like the entire build-up that we have built up to this moment. And it's like actually just a slapstick routine. It just feels underwhelming. Like I still think it's fun. Like, I mean, laughing at a movie is great. But if you're going there expecting horror, like a really good horror movie, I don't think that's what you're in store for. And it's not just that scene, it's this entire sequence, the finale of all of this tension, this build-up, all of your questions being answered, but the answer just not really all that amazing. So, like, the Gladys, she's about to have Justine killed, and Alex, the one kid who did not get mind controlled by Gladys and the magic tree, he was watching Gladys, understands how to like control the magic tree and use its branches, so he frees the kids. Well, not frees the kids. He uses the reason the movie's called Weapons is because Gladys weaponizes people. She's able to control them and have them do whatever she wants. So Alex then uses the kids as weapons against Gladys, where they then chase her down, hunt her, and kill her. And this is I shit you not, like maybe 8 to 9 minute chase sequence of Gladys going, oh no. She literally says, oh no, when the branch breaks, when he breaks the spell and like directs the kids at her. She literally says, oh no. And then starts doing this, opens the door, running away as all the kids are chasing her, going, and she's going, So she's running away, getting chased by the kids, and then she starts like breaking into strangers' houses, and they play it off as a joke. So like there's a family like watching TV, and then Gladys comes through and they're like, oh my goodness. And she's like, and she runs through the kitchen, runs out the front door, and they're like, that was weird. And then all the kids bust through the windows and bust through the door, like, oh, Jesus Christ. And they do that for like 3 separate houses. There's one where a guy's mowing his lawn, sees Gladys running away going, He's like, huh. And then a horde of kids starts chasing him, and he's like, huh. Like, they play it as a joke, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's an effective comedy movie, but overall, I just felt like it was a fun movie. It was good. It wasn't, like, amazing. I definitely don't think it's the horror movie of the decade or anything. I don't even think it's the horror movie of the year. I still think Bring Her Back is a significantly better, like, horror film, but I think this was solid with the horror that was here, sprinkled throughout occasionally. And I think the comedy was solid, which is here in a bigger capacity than the horror. Like, it's To me, it's more of like almost a dark comedy, kind of. And I think maybe that was the goal. I didn't know that going into it based on the trailers and what people are saying about it, but after seeing it, I would definitely classify this more as like a dark comedy as opposed to some kind of like horror film. But I do think you will walk away entertained. I know I was. But yeah, I just have to disagree with the hype a little bit on this one here, sports fans, sorry to tell you. But it's not like I was super disappointed or anything, it was still a fun time. That's really about it. See ya.